mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Hello there. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Our Way Mandalorian Review. This is the show where we recap, review, and it is going to be spoiler heavy. We're going to dive into this week's episode, share our thoughts, our opinions, our speculations of what we think is going to happen moving forward. Like anyone who goes into the Star Wars galaxy, you shouldn't go in alone. So I am joined by Gregory Lee of Neuroculture. Gregory, how are you?
Hi, I'm back in space again. So there's been a lot of Star Wars this week.
Oh my goodness, has there ever? And joining us this week, a very special guest. He goes by the name of Spencer. Spencer, how are you, good sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. We do appreciate it. Now, as we go throughout the course of today's show, if you have any thoughts, opinions, conspiracy theories, speculations, what you think is going to happen moving forward, drop them in the live chat. We're going to be monitoring that as we go throughout the course of today's show. So please keep that in mind as we go along. Now, to give you a quick recap before we dive into everybody's thoughts here on the roundtable, what we thought of this week's episode, Chapter 15 or Season 2, Episode 7, since I like to be, technical. It was called The Believer. So with The Believer, Mando and his team go on to this new place. They have to bring in Miggs Mayfield, a prisoner, bring him out of prison, help him get the coordinates to Moff Gideon's ship. They go to a place called Morak, which has a rhodinium refinery, and Mando and Miggs Mayfield, they take two troopers as uniforms, disguise themselves as troopers working for the Empire, get on this thing, this transport of rhodinium, take it to the factory. On their way to the factory, they are trying to be assaulted by space pirates who are trying to explode and destroy the shipment of rhodinium, so Mando has to fight him off. He does so quite well, I might add. And on this mission, he is joined by Cara Dune, Fennec, and Boba Fett, who did get a cleanup job for his rusty old uniform. So he looks styling and profiling as he is flying and helping out with this mission in the ship known as Slave One. So when they get there, Miggs Mayfield meets up with his old former commanding officer. He says, I can't go into the mess hall. I can't go in there. If he recognizes me, our cover is blown. This mission is going to be scrapped. So Mando goes in there. He gets the codes. But before they are able to leave, the former commanding officer has a sit down with these two gentlemen, has a cup of whiskey, Johnny Walker label, whatever it is that they drink in space. I don't know what it is. And Miggs Mayfield is reliving some old missions of his, and he gets upset. He's like, hey, this shouldn't have happened. This couldn't have gone better. He blasts an Imperial officer in the middle of a mess hall with other soldiers around. So what do? They have to get out of this thing. They are being assaulted and attacked by stormtroopers at every which way. But Cara Dune and Fennec help fend them off. They get on the ship. Get to safety. They got the coordinates. They know where Moff Gideon's ship is. They know how to get there. Probably know how to access and get in there. But at the end of the episode, they let Miggs Mayfield go after helping them with the mission. And he also takes the liberty of blowing up the rhodinium factory to say, hey, you know what? My past was bad. I want to make up for it. People need to sleep at night. This is my way of doing it. Exactly. So then they go into the ship, fly off, and in the very end of the episode, Moff Gideon is given a transmission sent by Mandalorian, giving him a stern warning saying, you have no idea what you're in for. I'm coming for the kid. He's coming back with me, whether you like it or not. And if I have to mow everyone down to get him, I'm going to do it. And that's how the episode ends. So I want to turn things over to our special guest first. Spencer, I got to ask you this. What were your thoughts on this week's episode of The Believer for The Mandalorian?
I absolutely loved it. As much as some people hated Bill Burr's performance in the first season, he's one of my favorite comedians, and I think it's like a really funny meta joke to have him in there. And I think he's like a really good actor. So I'm actually going to first throw a bone to him, because that scene when he's talking to his old commander when they're having a drink, he killed that performance like more than I thought he was able to. He was great in Breaking Bad, but like he's a really great comedian. And I think he's like quietly a very good actor too. He did a great job in that scene. And it's just funny seeing, like the amount of times throughout Star Wars, for example, where, they've stolen like stormtroopers uniforms and they just put them on, and like no one ever comments on how that's like kind of gross. It's just like, oh, the gloves are still wet. I was dying. I was loving it. And But overall, I thought it was a great episode. Everyone was expecting filler. In my opinion, it wasn't a filler episode. I thought it moved the story forward. And I love seeing the ending where it's really starting to build up to the big climax of the season, the finale. And I love that Mando repeated Moff Gideon's message from the first season finale back to him. I loved every minute of it.
Fair point. I did not realize he was quoting some of the lines from the previous season when he's telling it to Moff Gideon. I did not realize that. Then again,
I got to go back and look at it now.
Yeah, some of the stuff I need to go back and read about, or maybe I need to go back and rewatch it at a certain point or whatever. But that's really good. I'm glad you brought up some of those very good points, very good thoughts, and opinions about that. Now, Greg, I got to ask you, what did you think of this week's episode of The Mandalorian?
I thought it was okay. I really thought it was okay. I kind of thought that, again, I love Bill Burr's character in the first season, and I thought this time they kind of reined him in a little bit more, which I was just come on, let him be the funny quippy guy. But then once they got to that sit down scene where he's going back and forth with his old commanding officer, I was just oh, they wanted him to act this time, and he killed it. That was a wonderful performance by Bill Burr. I really liked his performance, and I also was I was also I didn't like that everybody else kind of took a back seat. Cause you have Boba Fett, you have these two sharpshooters. Why don't you all just go in guns blazing? Why was the plan just to send these two? Cause it could have been more fun and more action packed and more of I think I said it yesterday, a Ocean's 11 type heist. But I mean, once we got into it, I was just okay, sure, it's a stealth mission. They're just trying to get in, get out, no problems, fine.
Yeah.
But I thought I liked this episode. It wasn't as fillery as I thought it was going to be, because I honestly thought they were going to drag this out for much longer. But it was fine. The pirate scene kind of went on a little bit too long, in my opinion. But
there were way too many pirates, dude.
Yeah, where did all these guys come from? They just kept coming. But it was a fun scene, and I do love the fact that at the end, Bill Burr is never thought you'd be happy to see stormtroopers. Stormtroopers. I was yeah. But I thought this was a very interesting episode, and it was also a very interesting character study of Mando, because at a certain point he's forced to take off his helmet and show his face, which he has been adamant for the entire series, just no one can see my face. This is my creed. These people took me in, I follow their rules to the T. And season 1 he had to take off his helmet, but again, the robot said, I'm not a human. No man or human can see his face. So he was good. And this time, he had to take his helmet off around a bunch of people.
Imperial troopers in a mess hall, yeah.
And earlier in the episode, Bill Burr was just it's a true test to see when your back is against the wall, will you abandon your principles? And it was just very interesting. I feel like this is definitely going to keep happening. Mando, now that the Mandalorian order is kind of fractured and broken, I think the longer we go on, the more we're going to see him change into his own person with his own principles.
When you keep mentioning this word filler. Let me tell you something. There's only 2 episodes left in this season. There's really no room to dilly-dally and mess around and play video games all day.
There's
on a
2
planet,
more.
Okay? So there's 2 episodes. You got to make them count. And these episodes are going to count, and they have been counting for pretty much the entire time. By the way, yeah, way too many pirates. That's one of the little nitpicky things that bother me about this episode. But aside from that, it's good to see Pedro Pascal out of the helmet, and we can actually see his face. That's a good thing. And the other thing I liked about this episode was you get to see a different side. to what it was like working for the Empire. He's talking about these stories and how all these people died and how they didn't need to die and how certain weapons didn't need to be used. And then the character Migs Mayfair is bringing up, hey, we all need to find a reason to sleep at night. This is my way of doing it. And then he flips things around. He blows up the refinery, all this stuff. So basically in this episode, I feel like we got more layers to what's been going on or what went on with the Imperial forces, the Empire, all that kind of jazz. And that's something I really enjoy, is learning more about the other side of this war and learning about more of these different characters that have taken place and have played, important parts within this war. So once again, I mean, everyone did a great job this week, but yes, Migs Mayfair, Bill Burr, he was the standout, truthfully. But yeah, it was good to see Cara Dune and Fennec, working together. One is a sniper, one's just a badass in general, so she's able to handle a sniper rifle quite well, I might add. But aside from that, what do we think about Boba Fett going to the cleaners in this episode? His suit is all cleaned up. Yeah, I guess they had time to go to the car wash or something.
Man, I liked it. I liked it when it was dirty. Like it added like a little bit of character to it.
You've been through wars,
Yeah,
it's a sign of honor.
Yeah, right. It's a sign of his aging too. I feel like
no, but then he's like, hey, I got to go to the cleaners on the way to Morax, so let me get this thing cleaned up. Let me get a new paint job. Let me look like I'm 25 years old again, like I did in Empire, and we'll be good.
It looked good, but it's just like, oh man, like I liked it.
I like the rusty, man. It makes you a warrior. Makes shows your age, shows your colors, shows you have much experience you've had in these wars. But aside from him getting a clean paint job, I still like his suit,
good.
Though. His suit still looks good. The rocket pack got cleaned up. He's got a new rocket back there, so I don't mind.
It's like a sign that he's like going to be a bigger part of the show than maybe people originally thought. Kind of like he's like, because like you could think about it from a writing perspective, he's like almost representing himself or reintroducing himself, not only as a character, but like, like a character within the show The Mandalorian, but he's pretty much like being reintroduced to the Star Wars fans as like, this is a character that we're going to be using, like pretty sure. I'm actually surprised I didn't see anything Boba Fett related with the big announcement that they, Disney Plus that they dropped the other day. But maybe it's because like this is the show that he's really going to be a bigger part of, and that's why he's got the new armor. But I do agree, it was really cool seeing his armor. Like, it's a good callback. You know what I mean? Like the original trilogy, and it's just like, I mean, you see his face; he's all scarred up and frankly gross.
Yeah, man, the guy's been through heck. He's been through torture, man.
And the armor reflected that, so that's why I think like, Favreau and Filoni, like they're good enough with their,
world building.
Their world building, and their attention to detail and stuff, like they've nailed the look. There were times in the sequel trilogy where I thought it was a little like, I don't know, it just didn't, some things didn't look super OG Star Wars original trilogy to me. And I think The Mandalorian does a better job of that in many different aspects. So it's kind of sad to see the crummy armor go, but that's why I think that was a writing decision,
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but we'll see.
No, I definitely think that we're going to get a lot more of Boba Fett, and like I honestly think that like he's gonna kind of show Mando like, like the Mandalorian order is like kind of fractured and
it's all over the place.
Done with, but like you can still be yourself, like you can still like have a life outside of like this order. Like this isn't everything. Like it doesn't have to be everything. And like on the topic of like what is it, all the announcements, I think like
which was a lot.
I think he's just like, maybe he's just going to bounce around like and just show up in some of these episodes. Like he might just like keep showing up because like he's just a roaming like bounty hunter. Like
as he says, he said this in the series, and he said in the what was it, the prequel series? He says, "I'm just a simple man trying to make his way in the universe."
Yeah,
that's all he is. That's all he is. So it's like, hey,
just travel around.
You help us out with one mission, that's great. You show up with other characters and help them with another mission another day. I'm fine with that too. You got a killer looking suit, man, especially when you took it to the cleaners. But that's just my 2 cents. The comments section is on fire, and I'm loving it every single bit. But I want to go around the horn here. Greg, I'm going to go to you first on this next question. What are you speculating is going to happen? What do you think we're going to potentially get in the season finale for season 2 of The Mandalorian moving forward?
Okay, so is there 1 or 2 episodes left?
No, this is the last episode is next week. So this is the finale, baby. They got to go big or go home on this one. So what do you think is going to happen in the finale and moving forward? What do you want to see happen?
I want to see the Darksaber. I know I want to see that.
Moff Gideon, yeah.
But like I also kind of hope that they don't really bounce around a lot, because I think what's going to happen is like everybody that they have with them right now like is going to go in, and like they're going to be like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and they're going to split up and they're going to keep cutting around. Like, no, like just stick with Mando, stick with Moff Gideon. Let's see them fight. Let's see Grogu. Grogu's probably going to save like Mando at some point.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get out of Dodge, and then we'll see what happens. We're also going to see those new stormtroopers, like the dark troopers or whatever.
Troopers,
yeah. Like I want to see those things in action. Like I really want to see them in action.
All right. That's good stuff. We'll see what happens as we move along.
Also, I want to learn why. I also want to learn why they need Grogu so bad.
Yeah,
like,
I'm curious about that too. But
I know it's like something with cloning, but like I really want to know exactly what they're doing.
And they want to harness him for his force powers and his force energy. But we'll see what happens as we move along. Our special guest Spencer, I got to ask you, what do you hope to see in the season finale, and what do you think is going to happen with the Mandalorian moving forward?
Yeah, overall, I'm just really loving the show. I'm loving the direction of it. I like how, in my opinion, the second season they've been more willing to really speed things up and throw their budget around a little bit more, their bigger budget around, and I think it's a great sign, because obviously with everything going on with Star Wars, like the Mandalorian is really like, not only like it's kind of the only piece of Star Wars content that's out right now, but Favreau and Filoni have just done such a great job of like carrying the torch, so to speak, so I'm loving this. I'm loving how they're, pressing down on the gas pedal. What I expect to see, I have a theory about what they want with Grogu.
Ooh.
But I think it's not as like groundbreaking, but just logically thinking about, first of all, Thrawn is the thing. So we'll see what happens with that. I doubt we're going to see, I don't think they're just going to, premiere him this early. Like, to me, it would make more sense to like, give him the big Palpatine type reveal, the man behind, the main bad guy that we see on camera a lot. But maybe season 3, season 4, we'll see. But this season, I believe that it makes most sense to think that they want Grogu, because Palpatine is obviously trying to figure out a way, or they're trying to figure out a way to like reanimate Palpatine or bring him back somehow, whatever. We already know that he ends up doing that with Skywalker.
Yeah.
So to me that just makes sense, but that's why I'm kind of just like, is that it though? That seems kind of like linear, so we'll see. But I'm loving Esposito as Moff Gideon. That scene when he was like intimidating Grogu was really, to me, like, okay, he's not just like this badass Gus Fring in space, terrorizing Imperial. He's a little thick,
Yeah, like
he's leaving the Darksaber in front of a baby's face like that. Like,
you can't have it.
I was sitting there chilling, like, having chills watching this, like, wow. The other thing I noticed when I was rewatching that episode where he was intimidating him at the end, is he expected Grogu, he walked in, he's seen Grogu display his power with the Force, and he's obviously not surprised. He's got a smirk on his face like, okay, cool. This is, like he's obviously trying to measure, what he could get out of Grogu. And when Grogu gets tired and falls down, he smiles and nods like he was expecting it. And it was just subtle, non-dialogue acting that I picked up on a rewatch of that episode. But this is going crazy. They're definitely they're definitely squatting up, which I am so stoked for. I'm sure. So I'm wondering if we're going to see Bo-Katan and her crew back, which I would love to, but I hope so. Like, they weren't on set enough to think that they would be in more than just that episode, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see. It's ramping up, and I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait.
I really hope so, because she is looking for the Darksaber.
She wants that Darksaber more than anything, and she's willing to go through Moff Gideon to get it. Like she doesn't care. She's gonna get that thing come heck or high water.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I like about her attitude. And hey, Katie Sackhoff has been kicking tail and taking names for how many years now? Almost 2 decades. Yeah. So watch out for Starbuck in space. Just saying.
I would love to see Boba Fett and Bo-Katan.
Oh yeah!
It's gonna be such a great dynamic with the Mando, with Din and
the old guards, some of the younger guards. Oh my goodness gracious!
That'd be fun.
Something for the ratings or what?
Yes.
Those things would spike. But this is my, and by the way, this is something that I want to address that Greg brought up earlier. You talked about how you thought they were going to go into this factory of Ruidium guns blazing and get the codes and get out. Dude, going in guns blazing doesn't always work, and it's not always the best strategy if you want to go from point A to point B. Sometimes you got to do the quiet and what is it called? The dramatic, the silent approach.
But it
is
looks
much better.
cool.
No, it would be cool, but more characters are going to die that way, and I don't want to see characters die. I want to see them
they have
live.
plot armor.
The day
It's
of
fine.
tomorrow. You know, I want to see them live to fight another day, as it were. So that's why in these episodes, Greg, you're going to see it a lot. You're not going to see it just for 1 minute. You're going to see it a lot. A lot of these missions are going to inquire the silent approach. Because sometimes it's better to go in quietly, get what you need, and get out with as little bloodshed as possible. Although I don't mind people taking their blasters out of their holsters and blasting people for a living. Hey, that's one of the reasons I watch Mandalorian. I'm just saying. But what I think is going to happen, yes, they have the codes now. They're going to get on the ship. They're going to break Grogu out. Are they going to go guns a-blazing? They potentially could. And if they do it, I'm fine with it because Mando has a score to settle. Potentially Bo-Katan could show up and she has a score to settle with Moff Gideon. You have Boba Fett helping them out. You got Fennec. You got Cara Dune maybe, walking in there, kicking ass and taking names with those 24-inch pythons that she's carrying around. So, I mean, I'm telling you, man, they go in guns a-blazing. I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be down for it because what do we want to see? We want to see Grogu get rescued. We want to see the Darksaber end up with Bo-Katan. We want to see other characters show up and maybe other characters will show up and make a surprise appearance. Don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, if Thrawn shows up, that's a big reveal. If Ahsoka shows up and ends up helping these guys break them out, I'd be okay with that. It's Rosario Dawson. I got no problem. But anyway, I want to go to the comments section here because they have been lit. They are on fire. They got so many comments, so many theories. Let's see. Brian says he loved this week's episode. He does a Nature Boy Ric Flair. Woo!
All right.
Loved it, absolutely. Let's see. From Terry MacGyver. This episode is all fill and no full and no spill. I concur. It's perfectly done story that moves the characters forward in big ways. Let's see. Thomas says in regards to Boba Fett's armor, he says it was dirty. The paint was chipped off, and he likes the paint. That's what
That
Thomas
is true.
Said.
That is true.
Thomas is saying about Boba Fett.
Paint, though. It was a cool look.
Here's a speculation question that Thomas has for us. He says, here's one. How does he always get new rockets for Boba Fett's suit?
That's a good question.
He must have a guy.
He must have a lot of rockets sitting in the back in the cargo bay of Slave One, the ship he's been flying. By the way, Spencer, you're getting a lot of love in the comments section because Thomas says, beard guy. I generally hope he is in the show for the future.
Oh, awesome. I appreciate that. And thank you for the
Thomas. Thomas, you should be proud of me. I didn't call this episode filler. It was close. It was close, but
yeah,
it wasn't.
Yeah. What is it? Terry brings up a fair point. He says Mando has learned something new from every person he's worked with. It's great seeing him grow outside the confines of the Mandalorian code.
That's a great point, Terry.
That is a great point because, season one, he would not have taken off his helmet to for that scan. He would have just been like, "All right, this isn't working," and then just started shooting. Like we would have had a completely different scene season one.
Yeah. Potentially so. Thomas is speculating on what could potentially happen in the finale. He says Grogu stays with Empire, but Mando fails in recovering him. Oh boy.
I
would love that.
Oh boy.
I would love that actually.
It's too it's too happy ending.
Yeah.
Of an ending to this. See, I can't imagine that he gets kidnapped one episode and then 2 episodes later in the finale he's rescued. I just can't see that happening.
If he gets rescued, he gets rescued. If he still stays and still is captured, maybe that happens too. I mean, if they go either way, it's going to move the story in a different direction, one way or the other.
Exactly. It's a pivotal moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see who this Jedi is going to. Some Jedi is going to be answering this call. That
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious about exactly what that was, but
God, I hope it's a new person.
Some people are speculating it's either going to be a new character or it could be Rebels himself, Ezra Bridger. Is coming back.
Bridger potentially. I've heard Cal Kestis could be there, which that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Ezra would be really cool.
Ben Solo.
I can't.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Ben. I don't even think Ben's born yet because it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. I don't think I don't think Han and Leia are having having babies yet. But anyway, Thomas moves on to say, I want to see. He wants to see Mando versus the Dark Troopers, the ultimate battle. That's what Thomas wants to see.
No, I want Mando with like the spear versus the dark saber.
Ooh.
That's what I want.
Did you notice that he was using the pirate spears?
Yeah,
And he was doing good with it, wasn't he?
he was practicing. He's been practicing.
Dude,
He's ready.
He's what is it called? Have you been working out? You know, I think
like,
maybe.
you know,
What's your thing? Pilates? What? You may have missed a couple things after being a capsule. Sorry, that's a different franchise. But anyway, let's see. Thomas says to Spencer, "Spencer, great beard, brother." He loves the beard. He absolutely loves the beard. And Terry brings up a good point. This is a quote from this week's episode. He says, "People don't want freedom; they want order." Which means could lead into the birth of the First Order, maybe?
Please. I've been waiting for it.
On that.
Could lead into the First Order.
I've been waiting for it. Like, if we don't get it this season, like, we have
to get it at some point. We don't have to get it right this second, but if we get it somewhere down the line, I wouldn't be surprised.
I really want to see it.
The birth of the First Order, I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
Also, I would
maybe have the Knights of Ren actually do something.
Ryan, we're on the same page, buddy.
They didn't do anything in that last episode. But anyway, that's a story for another day entirely.
Look around and look cool.
We brought up Grand Admiral Thrawn earlier. Thomas is speculating that Thrawn is going to be for the Ahsoka spin-off series. Spencer, what's your theory about Grogu?
I have absolutely no idea, honestly. I think that that's the biggest thing we've seen the Mandalorian show do to the Star Wars canon. And even beyond that, that's a big deal. A baby Yoda. That's a big deal.
Child.
Yeah, right, exactly. So because we know nothing about their race, and obviously the only what we do know is that not to bring up everyone's favorite subject, but midichlorians, but obviously their race has the highest midichlorian count. They're the most naturally attuned organically to the force, blah blah blah. So the fact that this child was around during the prequel era, I don't know, 50 years, someone do the numbers for me, but he was at least 10, 15, 20 years old by the time episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
something like
around that time, yeah.
Somewhere around there. So that's crazy to think. I have no idea. I see a lot of people talking about eventually him becoming a foundling Mandalorian, force sensitive Jedi hybrid kind of thing that is the same, alien race as Yoda. That would be absolutely insane. So I have no idea. There's a lot of different ways this can go. And I'm also really interested in looking at the history of who he is, where he came from, what he was doing during the prequel era.
Bit of an origin story.
What was he doing during the original trilogy?
Sure.
This is one of the only times I'm just we might need a flashback.
Yeah.
We may need a flashback episode or two.
I don't mind that. I don't mind because it'd be different. Because we don't normally see that in Star Wars, so I'd like to see some flashback sequences take place and show us a little bit more layers to certain characters.
We had 3 full movies of flashbacks, honestly.
We didn't get a whole lot of flashbacks in the sequel trilogy. I mean, we got some, but we didn't get a whole lot. But anyway, that's a completely different video. But I will say this, though. Thomas goes on to say, I think the character of Grogu was wanted to help give powers to a clone until Grogu becomes powerful enough to house Palpatine's spirit via an essence transfer.
Yeah, right. Connected to a Palpatine in some way, shape, or form. He has to be.
That'd be fun.
By the way, Greg, Thomas is responding to your comment about what's going to happen later on. Guns Blazing is the name of the movie. Run and gun, baby. Run and gun.
That's all we need. Just run and gun. Oh, it's going to be... I feel like next episode is really going to be action-packed, and I hope that... I know it's going to move the story forward in some weird and insane way. I just can't wait to see what it is.
It's going to be pivotal. It'll definitely be. This is really going to move the story in a crazy direction one way or another.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Dark Troopers are happening.
Yeah. A lot of troopers are flying around. Thomas says, as far as what potential Jedi could come and help Grogu and help grow his powers in the Force, he says it's going to be Cal Kestis or bust.
Why not?
That's what he says.
That'd be interesting.
Funny comment. He says Mando should join the Space Olympics with that javelin thrower.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast with the spear. I'm telling you, man, the Beskar spear, wielded by the Mandalorian. This is the fight we're all building up to. Is Gideon with the Darksaber versus Mando with the spear. That's
Like he needed something besides the guns.
I mean, he's got all of his tools, and I'm sure he'll use them.
Exactly.
He already used the what they call them, whistling birds.
Yeah,
those were fun.
With those things
always
attached to his wrist. Yeah.
What about Boba had like his own version of that on his cap thing, his little
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he like
rocket
like the canyon thing. He put his
You're right. He absolutely did. Thomas says that Grogu is actually the same age as Anakin when it comes to where he came from and all that stuff in the beginning.
Okay.
So I think that's what you're referring to, Thomas. If you're referring to this, what is it called, the prequel era? Let us know. I'm a little confused.
Right. Vader was like 15. Yeah, Vader.
He was a kid.
Like Return of the Jedi.
He was a kid back then, wasn't he? Anyway, Thomas goes on to say, "OMG, we need more Star Wars flashbacks. It's David Thompson's favorite thing in the world. We need Darksaber story after Rebels."
Yes.
He's got a history, man. Crazy history. I love how they explored that in Rebels, and even a little bit in not even a little bit. They did in both Rebels and Clone Wars.
I'm not familiar with this character when it comes to Star Wars. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to sit down and read all the 50 billion comics and the 50 billion books. Sorry, Tom.
A lot.
But he says, "Have you ever thought of the character of Bendu Fowl or Bendu Fu?" And then Thomas goes on to say, "Has anyone thought of Bendu as the potential being to train Grogu in the ways of the Force?"
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, Thomas,
I don't know that one.
If you give us a little bit of feedback on what that character is, that'd be fantastic. Thomas says, yes, Grogu is the same age as the prequel era is what I'm referring to. Vader was about 40 in A New Hope. About 8 years later, he would be about 50, which Grogu is. Okay. So that's how the math lines up. Okay.
So the same age. Okay. Well,
same age.
It makes
so slowly.
To show you how slow they age.
Yeah.
I guess some people age slower than others, right?
Jeez.
Very, very slow.
I gotta say, though, Mando's been wearing that suit for how long now? Several decades, and he still looks the same.
Yeah.
Although he just updated his armor in last season when he had the rusty armor, and then he updated the Beskar, but still, I digress.
Yeah, that was a great little backseat storyline going on. Season is like him. It's like him becoming like the Mandalorian. Like when he walks into the cantina again that first time after.
Yeah, he's just an old,
everyone
grizzled,
just quiet and immediately stares at him. It's just like
he's like an old grizzled Western hero. Yeah, that whole thing. By the way, Thomas informs us that Bendu is a character that was featured on Star Wars Rebels, an ancient being that helped Kanan Jarrus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what you're talking about.
Learn his path to the good side, and Ahsoka as well as Ezra. Okay. All right.
I even begin to try to understand exactly.
Now it's starting to ring a bell a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I gotta think about that. I gotta do
a creature guide of the Force.
Yeah.
I gotta think about that for a minute. Hey, listen, Thomas and everyone else who's chimed in today, thank you for sharing your thoughts and your comments, your speculations, and where you think the story is going to go moving forward. That we absolutely love reading things. And Thomas, we know how much you love this show. We do. I mean, all the stuff you're throwing at us in the chat is just insane. And by the way, you're a big fan of beards and you love Spencer's beard. So, hey, if we want to bring Spencer back, do you want to come back, Spencer, for the finale episode?
I would love to. Absolutely.
All right, well then sign you up, man. You're on the manifest. You're going to be coming back in next week's episode of Our Way, Mandalorian Review. But I will say this, though. That is going to do it for this week's version of Our Way, Mandalorian Review. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. If you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and enjoy it. And happy holidays to you and your families. Now, before we go, Spencer, where can the good people of the interwebs find you on the interwebs?
Me?
Yes, you. Where can the good people find you on the interwebs, my friend, and all the projects you have coming up?
It's just my name, just at Spencer McSain on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. I'm not creating a whole bunch of content, but I have something in the works, so I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Okay. All right, stay tuned.
Our way, well, Greg, you and I, this is our way of saying you had our curiosity, but now you have our attention.
There you go.
So there you go. I appreciate that. But in the meantime, Greg and I, you can find us here at Nerd Culture. Everything we're doing, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. New videos are dropping on our YouTube channel each and every week. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And in the meantime, to everyone out there, stay healthy, stay safe, stay strong. Happy holidays. And this is the way.
Our way.